there are so many unknowns in this election, and most of all, like when the results will come in. Why is that such an uncertainty?
Well, part of the reason why it's even more uncertain this time around than it has been in the past is the sheer number of mail-in ballots. Because of the pandemic, so many people either requested or received mail-in ballots, and so the numbers of mail-in ballots are through the roof for this 2020 election. And the problem there is that pretty much each state has its own way of receiving, counting, registering those mail-in ballots, different deadlines, and so you have some states, for example, who count mail-in ballots, who start counting them before Election Day and actually report those mail-in ballots and those early voting numbers earlier than the Election Day results. And you have other states that actually will report those mail-in ballots and those early voting numbers after the Election Day results. So you have some states like Pennsylvania, like Ohio, that have these swings to one side or the other, but you could see it swing back to the other side because of this discrepancy between how they count the early voting mail-in ballots and the Election Day votes. The other reason why it's so uncertain is that you have this idea that the early voting mail-in ballots seem to favor the Democrats, while Election Day votes are expected to go a little bit more towards the Republicans. And so depending on which ones you count first, you seem to have an advantage to one or the other, but that could change again, and that's why it's so uncertain and why it could take so long.
Of course, Kethevane, we're all looking at the presidential race, but let's not forget the Senate. I mean, some of the results have already come in. Lindsey Graham winning re-election. That comes as a big disappointment, I'm sure, to Democrats. What are some of the Senate races that you're looking at tonight?
Well, we saw two other results that were expected but are actually seat flips. So you have Colorado with John Hickenlooper, the Democrat, who has won that race against the Republican incumbent Cory Gardner. But on the other hand, the Democrats lost a seat. That's in Alabama. Doug Jones, the Democratic incumbent, beaten by the Republican. So you're kind of back to square one in that race from the Democrats to win those Senate seats, to take over control of the Senate. Lindsey Graham, initially, it looked like this could be a close race, but in recent days, he had come back up in the polls, and so it's less of a surprise that he managed to hold on to his seat. Other races to watch out closely for: Iowa might be a very close one, might go for the Democrats. Another one is Arizona. Martha McSally, who is looking very vulnerable in her seat as a Republican, and of course, Maine with Susan Collins, who is also in danger there of losing her seat. Those are really the key ones that look most in favor of switching to the Democratic side. But there are a few other races that could still bring surprises. Keep an eye on the Georgia races. There are two Senate races there, so we could see a surprise there going towards the Democrats in a traditionally red state.
Okay, Kethevane, thanks so much. Philip, the Senate